What's up, everybody? Rob coming back at you here from Healthy You, where we help busy professionals, entrepreneurs, executives reverse their insulin resistance so they can lose fat, regain their energy, mental clarity, and overall improve their quality of life. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk more about mindset, like I did in my previous video, and talk about how I actually use these techniques to develop more sustainable habits and what my progression was like going from 270 pounds all the way to 180 pounds and each of the habits I adapted along the way. So this is going to be an interesting one so you guys can sort of see what sustainable progress and change looks like. All right. Keep this in mind. This was slow and it took time, but it worked. And I actually got pretty close to the same results I would have gotten had I fad dieted, but I was kept them. And that's the difference. So please pay attention and take this into account if you're going through your health journey right now and trying to judge your results based on what you see on social media. This is going to be a more realistic interpretation of what actually happens, especially if you go about it with the right mindset and lifestyle strategies.
So, the first thing that's important to understand when it comes to mindset is the difference between your internal and external circumstances. External being the actual physical environment around you and your life and what that looks like. And that's where I came across this concept called the mirror principle. And it's very interesting. I've heard this from a couple of the therapists, psychologists, doctors I used to work with. They always would tell me that, whatever's happening in your internal world is usually reflected in your external world. So if you don't have a lot of structure with, a lot of the mindset things going on in your own mind, that it will reflect in the world around you. And I've noticed this very commonly, especially with myself. Most people usually don't add structure to their lives unless they're held accountable to having a structure. That's usually the case with people's families, their businesses, their jobs. These are things where we're forced to have a structure, and this is your pretty much your internal environment, being that your mind prioritizes these things and therefore creates a structure to remove the chaos and uncertainty, right? But a lot of people don't do this with their health, and other parts of their life that they don't prioritize usually end up being pretty chaotic. And the mirror principle seems to reflect that. So if you don't prioritize these things, they end up becoming chaotic, and your internal is a reflection of your external. I hope that makes sense. And this can be the case too with people who generally just don't have a structure for anything in their lives. It's usually a reflection of themselves and how they see the world, or just how they're experiencing it at the moment. I find this very interesting because at any point in my life where I wasn't advancing the ball forward and things I wanted to do, it's usually because I had a lot of internal things going on that were distractions, and this was reflecting in my efforts on a daily basis. That leads us to the next part, which is if you have chaotic eating, sporadic lack of sleep, no movement, no sense of structure or stability, this is essentially what happens when you have no structure with your health. And once again, this is usually the result of a chaotic lifestyle. Sure, you might have structure in some areas of your life, but the overall structure is very busy, chaotic, and you're moving at 1,000 miles a minute. And when you don't have a lot of structure for your overall lifestyle, not just your health, things will become chaotic. Once again, your external is a reflection of your internal, okay? And this is how you get no sense of structure when it comes to your eating habits. This is how you get no movement on your goals. You have no structure. I was guilty of this all throughout my 20s because I would work long hours. I only really had structure at my job, but everything outside of my life was chaotic. I really had no structure. And how I chose to add structure to that was I need to fix my mindset first. I used a bunch of fad diets and, restrictive eating, which feeds into the lack of structure because you're taking a very extreme approach to your health, when instead you could use a more systematic method that's more long term. And the best way to do this is to fix your mindset first. This is actually a method that I kind of personalized out of a whole bunch of other methods that I've studied. I find this works best for me, and I find that works pretty well for my clients too, which is why, knowing why you're doing this, right? Is it for you to improve your health, your quality of life, improve your longevity, so you're not a slave to the healthcare system, to be around for your kids, your grandkids, so you can really see your maximum potential with your business or your career. And then after you know your why, that helps you better create the vision of what you want. Your vision's kind of like your goals, but you want to be able to visualize your what does your end goal, like, what does it actually look like? And then that vision is usually the identity of the person that you want to become, the identity that you want to embody, right? And then once you visualize the identity of the person that you want to embody, that's where you start to see what type of actions that you need to do on a daily basis that line up with that new identity. Because that new identity is likely going to be long-term focused, and that's how you develop your long-term thinking and action taking. And then the last thing is community, right? Community, and this is the number one hack to getting healthy very quickly, is simply just to join a community of healthy people, removing all the unhealthy people from your old self, your old life, the people who were not goal-oriented, health-oriented, removing those people, and not just removing them, but minimizing the amount of time you spend with them, and having people that are serious about their health, are serious about their lives, who want to improve their longevity. And this can be as simple as joining a yoga studio, a walking club, an MMA club, any type of powerlifting community, any type, something that's based around exercise, movement. These are great communities that you can join of people who are actually focused on health, which leads us to the next thing. Now, this is more about my journey of how I habit stacked over the years to actually achieve these goals. If you want to know more about the Vilk method, by the way, check out my last video. That actually went more into the mindset shifts that I needed to actually make this jump right here. So when I started, I had been transitioning over from fad diets, and I'd worked with a bunch of doctors to take a more sustainable approach. And with this is kind of what I did in the beginning. I was like, what can I do right now that can help move the needle that I know I can stick to, right? And for me in the beginning, that was simply fasting for 12 to 15 hours per day. I just started drinking water or zero sugar monsters, and that was pretty much all I drank. I removed a bunch of the calories from my diet in, a lot of the sodas and sugary drinks, calorie dense drinks that I was drinking. And I started walking 3 to 4 steps a day. And I just overall tried to just make better food choices. But it wasn't anything substantial. But just doing these 3 things helped me heavily reduce my calorie load and start getting in some exercise and burning a few hundred calories a day. And that was crucial for me. Because I was like, well, I can do this for the rest of my life. This is easy. This is very simple. And I know that I can build upon this. And this is me just taking more of a long-term view, because I'm like, the healthiest version of me, this is what he's doing. And I started small from there. This is how I lost my first 30 pounds over the first 5 or 6 months. And then I added on top of that once I started to plateau. And over the next 4 months, I increased my fasting window. And I was like, oh, well, what else can I do that I think I can keep up with? I started weightlifting 2 or 3 times a week. I weightlifted for years in the past, and going to the gym for 30, 45 minutes 2 or 3 times a week didn't seem like a lot of work to me. And especially after I got in the groove over several months, it actually became pretty easy, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. And then I started eating small servings of vegetables and protein first with every meal. So my non-negotiable with every meal is I'm going to eat a small serving of vegetables and protein. And believe it or not, that was actually very satiating. It was very satiating and made me not want to pig out after eating that because I felt so good. And once again, I was like, wow, this is pretty sustainable. So now I'm not drinking calories. I'm fasting 16 plus hours a day. I'm walking several thousand steps. And now I'm just eating small servings of vegetables and protein before every meal. And now, over the course of 10 months, I've lost over 50 pounds. I'm almost down to 210 at this point. And these are doing small shifts that help me heavily reduce my calories, my sugar load, carbs, and saturated fat. And I'm not doing anything that crazy. I'm like, I can keep this up for the rest of my life. And as I got comfortable with this, I'm like, well, what else can I add in? I started to add in more things where I completely eliminated the majority of my snacking. I loaded up on more veggies and protein with every meal. I started doing cardio. So on the days I wasn't weightlifting, I was doing a 30-minute cardio session. So I started weightlifting 3 times per week. And on the days I didn't lift, I would do 30 minutes of cardio either on the elliptical or a power walk. I was intentionally going to the gym to do some type of vigorous activity. And then I added a glucose monitor and an Oura ring to track my blood sugar, to track my sleep metrics, because these things help give me data that helps hold me accountable and helps me see where I can improve, especially with my sleep. Sleep was one of the biggest determinants in me being able to really attack these goals of mine. And once again, over the course of 4 months, I lost another 20 pounds. And you might be thinking, wow, bro, it's only like, a pound and a half a week. Yes, it is. But here's the thing. I kept it off easily. I didn't have to worry about gaining it back because I'm like, this is easy for me to do. Because I'm only going to the gym and staying in the gym for 30, 40 minutes at a time. I'm not doing these long soul-crushing workouts like all these other people trying to stay in the gym for like 2 hours. My workouts were very easy. They were very simple. My meal planning was very simple. I wasn't even counting calories at this time. I was just simply prioritizing veggies and protein and loading up on it before every meal. And I was fasting 16 to 18 hours a day. Getting in my steps on top of getting in my other exercise. All this started to become very, very easy. And I simply just planned for it. And this didn't really take that much extra time out of my lifestyle, right? So that's what I'm saying is this was sustainable. And this is how I got down under 200 pounds. Now I started doing more of the hard things, which are counting calories, doing more cardio, actually adjusting my macronutrients, adding in supplementation to fill the gaps and minimize the blood sugar spikes, really prioritizing sleep. This is the stuff that really moved the needle to get me down to like 175. And once again, it was slow, but I kept it off. Now I hover between 180 and 185. I've lost the vast majority of that weight. So once again, man, like this was sustainable. I was able to keep most of this up. I don't do quite as much cardio anymore, but I still have a pretty good idea of my macronutrients. I still pretty much count my calories on a daily basis. I prioritize my sleep. These are all things I still very much do. And it's worked out quite well for me. And this is kind of the approach I want to let you guys know that it's sustainable. Starting small and building your way up. That's the way you're going to defeat insulin resistance and lose a significant amount of weight once and for all. And had I known what I was doing from the beginning, I honestly think I could have lost 90 pounds or all this weight in less than a year. But I didn't. But just to let you know, just knowing some of the stuff I'm telling you in this video and my other videos, you can achieve the same results that I did much, much quicker.
I hope that was helpful for you guys to help dive more into the mindset that helped me be successful, is seeing my journey and how I developed the right sustainable habits that actually allowed me to lose over 90 pounds. This is what a gradual process looks like. And I want to stress that I didn't know a lot of the stuff that I'm teaching you now in the beginning. Had I known that stuff, I likely would have been able to achieve results faster. But what really helped me get results was achieving the right mindset. So remember, have a long term focus, be able to visualize what you want and why you're doing it, and try to join a community of people who are health oriented. Once you do that, it's really just all about sustainable habit stacking. Like I said, this is going to look slightly different for everybody based on your lifestyle and your obligations. But if you're a busy executive, entrepreneur, busy professional, you're going to really need to take lifestyle planning into account, because that's going to be the difference between you sticking to a lifestyle plan and it not working out. If you need help with this, feel free to DM me on Instagram or Facebook, or you can book a call with me below and we could talk more about your goals and how I can potentially help. But anyway, I hope this video helps you guys. If it does, please like, subscribe, smash the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.